We will start with, I guess Barbara must be taking, she's just going to take the video and do minutes from that. So we are now here for a cemetery. I'm glad we called it off last month because at 4 o'clock on that Thursday, we had like 3 inches of slush and it was so crazy raining and everything else. So cemeteries aren't that important that we need to get stuck someplace.
Agreed.
So if we could do roll call, I will just have you each say your name. Steve?
Steve Buzzell, present.
And make sure you talk into your, as close, yeah.
Michael Griffin, present.
Eva Boyce.
Peter Spillane.
Sauce Brooks. Dee Forte.
And Sue Sterry and our fearless leader, Corin Howell, is here with us. Sorry. You are. You go where we can't always tread. So I'm approval. Did everybody read the minutes from last month and so on? So if I can get, what do I need?
A motion.
What do I need?
A motion.
Motion, please.
I make a motion, we call the minutes that you have read.
All those in favor? Do I need a second? I need a second, sorry.
I'll second.
Now, all those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
I got it.
Oh, okay. Before, I am going to go right to you, but before I want to do the little presentation, I just want to get everybody caught up, and I like my visuals so that instead of trying to imagine it, you guys can actually see. This was either the late January or February storm. This is actually Union, and this was 2 hours after high tide, and there were puddles like that all along that little walkway that goes right out to the backside of North Cemetery. So there is some water issues down there. And especially, we got a phone call. Did you talk to Chris? Or
We talked briefly, yeah.
oh,
Yeah,
do you want to explain?
Yeah, so apparently some more stones fell off the wall, this area that's going to be reconstructed during the storm, so they're getting an emergency permit. It looks as though we'll be going in there sooner than later to have the wall repaired. So she's going to keep me posted.
These gravestones are just earth
Hopefully in the next 2 to
rocks.
4 weeks.
Oh,
I think is what she said.
yeah. She didn't have a
Yeah.
date when I.
Yeah.
No, right now it's just the
Oh, no,
stones.
sorry, 4 to 6 weeks. So
Still.
it's still a lot sooner than we were expecting.
Yeah, we thought we might have to get an extension
Yeah.
because the permitting has been such a hassle, and plus we don't know what Riverside's dates are. Just because we might be ready doesn't mean they're ready to do the project.
I think she spoke to them and they thought in about 4 to 6 weeks they could get in and do that.
Okay, cool.
She'll let me know. We have to go in and cut a few of the shrubs for the opening and get the benches out of the way.
And the people next door are okay with Riverside coming in, the White House that sits over here, or that whole complex. They're going to be able to come in on that back side to repair the wall, so they won't have to go through the cemetery. So it's good, because at one time we thought it might not even get done until late fall or next spring. So it sounds like we were right to go ahead and pick that as one of our first grant projects, because it needs help. This also is either the first or second storm, and this is what Point of Graves looked like. This is shortly after, an hour or so afterwards. And what's ironic is you were down there too. Peter Rice came by just as I came down to take pictures. And he goes, "I know all about it, Susan." So, and I wanted to show this. This is afterwards. You can see the water up in the side there. After it's starting to go down, because that headstone wasn't totally clear. There was only about that very top piece was standing up from some of the water there. So we should, I mean, it's just another indicator that we need to get whatever the ground water level is before any decisions about trying to rebuild a fence. This is Hall Cemetery and what it looks like now. I think I took this about a week or 2 weeks ago. And I talked to Steve and Corin. And so what I would like to do, this Saturday is supposed to rain, but the first nice weekend, to just a small number of people, 3 or 4 people, because there's a lot of wild roses growing up in there, so get those out. And all we're going to do is spray the headstones, because some of the headstones down in Union that last summer that we just sprayed and we didn't work on cleaning them are looking really good. So instead of trying to figure out how to get water up here and scrub for now, at least we can brighten them up with Mother Nature. And this also leads to John Lord, who's going to come up and train with us. He hasn't come sooner because of between the weather and the ground being so wet. He said it was too early to do it with the wet ground, the straightening part of it anyway. So I'm going to email him again tomorrow and ask him when he thinks, look at the weather forecast, and as soon as he feels he can come down, then set up a time. Because Corin will even have 1 or 2 people from the city yard come and learn how to do it too, so for a future. So that's where that stands. It hasn't been forgotten. This is the SAR, the Sons of the American Revolution. They're, to refresh your memory, they're going to come and do a ceremony and put medallions in front of 6 headstones in North Cemetery to remember the people that fought at, who were in the raid at Fort William and Mary. And so when I was there the other day, I just took the pictures of the headstones. It's the 250th anniversary. It's been pushed back to October sometime now. And he does have to go through not all kinds, some permits. Most of the city departments he had to have passed, but I haven't heard back about the firearms because they want to do a 21-gun salute.
Had any update either.
Yeah, so he said he'd get back to us as soon as he knew, but I'll remind him. It's been 2 or 3 weeks. So these are, I think this is George Gaines, and I have no idea. I was going to write down the names and I didn't, and I can't recognize them from here. So this is one of the headstones. Oh, I think, is that Mark? Oh, that's Mark Green. He's over in Union Cemetery. Oh, he's over in Union Cemetery, and he's one of the gentlemen. That's George Gaines. He was also involved. John Fernald is another person. Is this, I think it was a cutter, wasn't it, Susan? I think this might be Cutter, and the other headstone is, or not headstone, but tomb is John Langdon was a part of that raid that took place. And it's still being planned as a big event. So they're going to have all kinds of people here, and
I have to move. I'll be back.
it hasn't been a final date, but it's been pushed back to October sometime. And I might need, Kevin, I can't find my other thing. Wait a second, I have another slideshow of the dig. Oh, right here, I found it. And further update, Andy Croto finished the double doors on the right of at Cotton Cemetery. these are the two doors that are left, but they're not coming off because there are people inside of them. So Andy is going to come at another time, fairly soon, and scrape it all down and just repaint them right there at that spot. And also this headstone, the one that's to the far left, right up over there is where Corin and I finally got in touch with a gentleman who's going to sandblast the name, and it will say Cotton Burial Ground, 1721, and it will match all the lettering that's down on the other end by proprietors, and there is one date over one of the crypts. It's a crypt, right? We were
Yeah,
trying to
that's a-
decide what the names were.
Dane is the name that's in.
No, I meant what the physical structure was called. We were at the cemetery the other day with the, so because behind the double doors, and I might as well bring it up now, is I went in the day that Andy brought them back, and those big stones that you were talking about, they all have names on. I didn't remember you saying they had names on them. But we couldn't think of the name of that because that's a storage place for winter. Do they don't call it a cemetery storage, do they?
No, it's a
Crypt
holding
or-
tomb, I guess.
A holding tomb? The state archaeologist was asking me what the official name was. Okay, so that's another project, and he figures the end of May, the beginning of June, he will get that done. So as soon as the other two doors are done.
Do we have a
and-
quote on the lettering proposal?
Yeah, it was $1,000.
That's it.
$1,000.
What's his name again?
I don't have it.
I'll
It was
see if I
$1,000.
can find it, Michael.
It's $1,025, I think, something like that.
And how big is the lettering going to be?
It's going to match what's
Okay.
on proprietors.
Excellent.
So it will all be coherent. It won't look any different. And we do have money in the budget to do it. So, and we have pre-voted on it. So, I mean, does anybody have any concerns or questions at this point now that we really found somebody that could do it? And then once these two doors, I asked Corin if we could put curbing there. So, yeah.
Is that maybe not?
I'm not the right person to ask him
Well,
about.
no, but
So the, Brett, I've got the quote right here.
Yeah.
Let's see if I've got the scan, let me see. $1,075.
That's a hell of a price. Great price.
and he's done a lot of the lettering and sandblasting.
He was in the
whole
cemetery
area.
yesterday, yeah, for Harold Whitehouse.
Oh, was
Where's
he?
he out, in Northwood or?
Oh, Hampton, I thought.
Either Northwood or Brentwood or something, or Epping, one of those places. Up by you.
So the
So,
building that's to the left of this with the regular doors, what is that? Is that another holding?
Yes.
thing?
that yellow building we don't have anything to do with it right now, right?
No,
No, he just means a
Just
single
other
door.
holding.
Oh, the single door, oh, that,
it goes into the same room. Why there's three doors there, I don't know.
I'm talking about the building to the
The
left.
wooden structure, there's a 99-year lease that George Ward signed with the city of Portsmouth. He paid, the Wood Funeral Home, J. Vern Wood Funeral Home,
okay, yeah.
he pays the city $1 a year to use that building structure, and they're responsible to maintain it.
Okay.
oh, that's probably why he
When
gave
is
us
that over,
those
that
little
lease?
metal things for free.
I think it was signed in
It's the same person.
probably 1955, something like that. They do maintain it.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Somebody needs, or I will call him, because that whole siding, the door frame is starting to pull out even more, so
I
anybody.
haven't looked at it closely.
Yeah, last year it was about a ½ inch, and now at the bottom it's at least an inch or what have you, so. But that's not a project for us, so. So once this is completed and the sandblasting, I'm hoping that we can do a little, oh, and he also told us
Yeah.
that tar that's coming down, that from the top of the roof, which people just didn't care about, he was going to see if the sandblasting might.
They probably could and.
At least on the granite, he does not going to go for the brick because it's going to be
Right,
too abrasive for that.
Hit
But
the granite on the top. and
yeah,
over
the top
door.
granite, but he thinks they'll come right off of that.
That'll look great.
Yeah.
So then, hopefully the city will want to do some sort of little ceremony or rededication or something, formal, because it is one of our oldest cemeteries, and also get it in the press if we can. All right, so what's next? Now, here are our signs that, what is that?
Jeff Boucher, who's our signs person at DPW.
So next time you're down there, I didn't focus totally, but the sign to the left, it says very tastefully, open dawn to dusk, pick up after your dog, nothing like right in your face, don't come in type of thing. So, and it fits perfectly right in that little spot, and it makes it, so if you're over there reading the sign, so then, we'll read this, they won't be offended or anything, so. Which I know is a legitimate concern. We don't want to turn people off from going in the cemetery. But every time I'm down there, I don't know, there's always someone walking through with their dogs, doing that pathway that you do. There's always someone. They don't tend to stop like they do over at Point of Graves. It's more of a walkthrough, but there are plenty of dogs that go through. And I don't know if anybody else noticed, but this sign used to be sort of tipped this way. So when we did the walk that day, it was loose. So he took care of that also. So it's standing up nice and straight. Only the best for our aesthetically. Now, here we are. Last Sunday and Monday, we were at North Cemetery. The gentleman on the left is Alex. He's the professor at UNH whose project this is, and his research is on yellow fever. So that's how we're involved in all of this. The second person that's Mark. He's from, he's the head archaeologist for the state of New Hampshire, and I don't try to pronounce both their last names because they're incredibly long. So. And then another professor at UNH, that's Amy. She was a part of it. Amy and Alex have teach classes in forensic archaeology, and they also work for the state. For Mark, whenever there's a body discovered that's been buried, they call in the UNH, and they go in and actually do the dig, and so it's done correctly. So yesterday they actually worked on a forensic case up in Concord. That wasn't too much of an old case, a cold case, but it was a cold case. As you can see, those were the first pits that we dug, and that wasn't even, what did they say, maybe 2 feet down before.
Let's do second.
I'm sorry. They are the second pits. Sorry. Pits. So
They decide where to dig.
they had come before, and they are the ones that did the ground penetrating radar. And then they came and reviewed with the city what, where they thought remains possibly could be. And this is how, this is the first pit right
It
there.
was basically in the center of that opening where they thought they did the ground penetrating radar. They thought the bodies were. That's the
Yeah,
center of it.
and
right
it doesn't look like two pits, because somewhere along the line, because of all the boulders and things like that, the wall disappeared in between the two of them. And what happened is they hit solid ledge in all four pits, which semi-explained why they thought there possibly could be remains down there because the readings are like an X-ray type thing. Doesn't show you what it is. It just shows you that something is there. And this would have been top of, so the screen was something like this. So this was the top and this was the bottom, and it was close to being 6 feet down. So they just hit the top of it. So they were wrong. So, but it turned out this was the first time in all their history of using GPR that what they were doing a site for was wrong. So now they're actually, I think Alex is still going to write a paper on why you can't trust GPR. It's not like, because most people, they were telling us, even Mark, that most people think, oh, just get it GPR'd and you'll find what you want.
Yeah, like it's 100% reliable,
Yeah,
and it's not.
it's not.
But you see the picture on the right, I was there as well. I'm not in.
Yeah, I have you at the end.
That's the after. After they got done, they refill it and they put the
Sod.
Sod back on.
Yeah, and so in a couple of weeks, it will be like nothing ever happened there.
Yeah, I checked it yesterday, and unless somebody walks through and thinks their civic duty is to call the police because someone didn't pay, it will disappear.
Hopefully not.
And you never know. And there's Sue. She helped out on both days with, and Steve, and Sue worked back and forth after screening, going through the materials to see. We only found a military button, I think.
I found it.
Good for you.
She didn't get to keep it. The state has it. A military button, a good length of chain that had some sort of latch on the end of it.
Clay button or clay marble.
Marble and some other clay pottery and things like that. Very, very little. So, which was another indicator for them that this is not where people were buried. Oh, we don't need that one. So that's it. That's everything.
You could talk about a follow-on, that they were talking about doing maybe a follow-on dig in the fall or something.
Well, you have a paper right in front of you that they did up a report, and this is for you guys to keep, and they outlined what they would like to do probably in September when they start teaching the class again, and they'll bring students down to help out with it.
Have you done GPR in your cemetery?
Not that I recall. I know that Peter Laughlin wanted to try and find or determine where Ruth Blay is buried, and the likelihood of that without any accurate information, the cost associated with it. We didn't move forward with that, but
Just didn't know if you had better luck with that.
no, my brother
GPR.
Tim has used them down at the Oceanside Cemetery in Newcastle. That's the one down at the Commons.
Okay.
Struck out every time.
Oh,
Yeah. Didn't get the results they were hoping for.
Sort of about 1,000.
did they actually do a test pit, or did they?
They were looking for,
Oh, so they didn't see anything to indicate that they
Right.
should dig. Yeah,
something to that effect, but it wasn't effective.
yeah. The I see something is a archaeology company up in Dover now, and Kathy Wheeler used to be a part of that. Mark told us that they just bought a GPR, but I have no idea what the cost is. I'm not gung-ho about doing it anyway.
No.
Not after. I mean, if there's something that we really needed to do, that would be one thing, but just to pay to gather general information, you know, they want, and I think they measured in here, mentioned that they wanted to do some more ground penetrating. And one of the facts I learned, and again, you have to take this just with it's a possibility, not accurate. Amy was quite emphatic about that. All the headstones in North Cemetery, those probably aren't where they really were. So I have no idea. She was, that the oldest cemeteries, that the headstones move and this and that. So to us, I don't think it really makes a difference. The stones are there. We know that they were placed there sometime, and to continue cleaning them and straightening them and repairing them is still a project for us. But they want to go through the headstones parallel to where the first dig was, so that to see if there's any kinds of indications that maybe nobody's there either, and headstones were just placed there. So I don't know.
Why would the headstones be moved? I mean, they're pretty heavy.
Well, no, I asked that question, and I didn't really get a definitive answer. I sort of countered with the fact that, especially this cemetery back in the 1700s and turn of 1800, people just did what they did, and people aren't buried 6 feet deep either. So if somebody went into a cemetery and wanted their loved one, put there, then if they picked a spot and put them there, her counter to that was that all the churches buried everybody, and that the sextons wouldn't do something like that. I have no idea how any of us would know what anybody would do back in 1789. So
They did say that sometimes once they buried the person, it might be months before they put a headstone up. And it put it close, but not necessarily right on it. And when they fall over and they put them back up, it's not always in the exact same spot. So it's close, but not perfect.
well, yeah, no,
That's what they were saying.
Yeah, that's what she's saying. But when I was talking to her one-on-one, it was like, she said, I guarantee you a lot of these headstones have nobody under them. So as close as they are together, there has to be, I would think somebody would be there, but that's not our concern. Our concern is just to preserve the name. And, and they've been on a lot of cemetery cleanups and retrievals, so, anything is possible. I don't disagree with her, just have a different view. So you all got a chance to read this. So what I would need is, where we okayed before that we didn't have any issues with them performing this activity, if how everybody felt about them coming back in September and continuing on with their project. And I wanted to show the pictures too. I mean, they left the site in good condition. There was no any complaint or any reason, as my perspective, being there and watching what they did, that they couldn't continue on if that's what they decide to do.
What are they actually looking for?
They're looking for bones.
Bones, bodies, anything that will be able to point to,
What would that tell them?
about the yellow fever, which is the subject for Alex's study. That's what they're hoping to find, remains from that.
Specifically a mass grave, correct?
Yeah, a mass grave.
Yeah. And the theory behind that is there's a big, there are people that are very interested in yellow fever to see if it's mutated over the years.
Oh, okay.
Possibly identify through the mutations, if there are some, where it might have come from. But the scientific information, which I finally understood, is DNA does not keep track of if you had a virus or bacterial infection or what have you, but RNA does. And in the last 4 or 5 years, they've been able to identify in yellow fever remains that they know were that there are proteins that only yellow fever has, and those do last in RNA. which is still in the bones. So that's what they're trying to link together. And then they put, history buffs too, all of it is, put a history and a timeline. Because there was yellow fever here in 1690, but it was only a few cases. And I don't think they know where any of those remains are. So we're one of the few spots that we have the older remains in it.
If they came back in September and did find a mass grave or bones, would they be taking samples then, or would they be removing the remains for testing and then returning them?
Oh, they don't need a lot. So that's up to the state. So I'm not sure. We didn't get that far because everybody was so disappointed in the bedrock. And it took a lot to move some boulders back into the pits that we took. I mean, there were boulders like this that they had to take out that were boulders and not ledge. So I was going to put a shot in there. It looks, they have a huge boulder and you guys are all holding it. If you looked real close, it could look like a body that they were trying to dump back into the pit. So, yeah, no, that's up to them. And it's my understanding, depending on what they find, I don't know what their exact procedure is. So
My guess is probably the same thing that happened with those bones that we just put back in last fall. After they get done doing all of the research and what have you, they will bring it back and reinter them.
oh yeah, they'll definitely,
Yep.
depending on what they find, if we find, or if they find. I say we because we were all working there, but it's their project. So can we take a consensus vote on?
Do you need to have a motion?
No, just like last time, we just have to be okay. Suzanne's talking to Karen, and you already know about it. So no, it's just that, can we continue on if we're okay with that? So
Yeah, I'm all for it.
be in the minutes that we said, sure, continue on with your project.
Does anyone object, is the question.
But yeah, anybody object? Okay. So that's another thing we'll stay tuned for. Okay,
All right.
now. it
So we can
is-
have in the minutes that it was unanimously approved to continue?
Yes, Barbara is unanimously approved. No, I'm glad you brought it up. I'm no whiz on meetings, that's for sure. So now I know, Eva, you had some ideas about the rat card last time. So.
I've been around. I've been to, in the last few days, I've been to every place you could get into. The houses and things open May 1st, so this weekend I will go around. And I have to say, by the time I go around again, I'm going to be into the last packet of them. So,
Okay.
which I think is great. But of course, I would like to get them into more places. So I had some thoughts, and again, it probably violates everything the city would say you could or couldn't do. But for instance, where people exit the parking lots and the parking garages, is there any reason why we can't get some plastic gizmo near where people are walking out and put them in there? The little libraries and things that are around on
Little free libraries?
Yeah. Are we prohibited from doing something like that? How about the building at Prescott Park where they sell the merch during concerts? Would there be a place there that we could, again, put up one of those plastic gizmos and put some in? This is not the most urgent thing, but I do think more people could see them, in places where there are traffic. So if you can think of anything like that, and if we could see if it was possible, and not violate what the city says is legal or not, and if you would tell me, I would be happy to call the right person or what not. But I do think that there is I'm sure people park and have never even been into the Chamber of Commerce building before they park the car and go wandering around. And so I just thought maybe there were a few more places, and that's what I wanted to propose. And if I run out of them, I will let you know. I'm certainly, we might get through this season, but next year there would
you
have
think
to
so?
be. I would think so.
How many did we print originally?
1,000.
Nice.
So.
Yeah. I'll let Suzanne know.
So, yeah, anything that might work is, I would do. If you told me to do it, I would do it. Also, Sue gave me a very long list of
Right.
places that award grants, different foundations and things like that. And I was astonished at how many of them I could not find websites for. Like even Martha Fuller Clark, very often we'll read in the paper or something and see that somebody received a grant or some monies from their wonderful foundation, but I couldn't find any websites. But then I got to the answer, which is that, and almost all of the websites or the funds that you gave me actually are under the aegis of the New Hampshire Charitable Trust.
I'll just throw out here, I took pictures of the African burial ground donations, the
Right.
big plaque that's out there.
Right.
And asked her if she had the time and was interested to track them down.
Well, it
So,
was interesting,
Yeah.
believe me. And then looking for more, I went on the music hall website to see who they, go after, and there was a lot of crossover. But even ones that were different fall under the aegis of the New Hampshire Charitable Trust. So then I called the New Hampshire Charitable Trust because obviously they're driving the bus, and I talked with them. I have a lot of notes here. I'm not going to read them all.
That's
You have to have an account with them, and it flows through something called Grant Source, which is their online portal. And they're starting a specific community grants program in the next few months, and we would fall under that. One of the factors, though, it isn't a complicating factor, it can be worked out, is that we're really under the aegis of the city, and the city actually already has an account with them, but we can have our own. And they sent me the paperwork to fill out, but I have to tell you, Sue, they sent it to me the day before yesterday, and I looked at it, and a lot of the information I would not know offhand, so I wondered if you and I could get together. Also, they've got my name on it, and I think it should be you or Dee Dee, somebody who's,
Well, again, I didn't know.
well, who would know?
No, but I mean, that's, again, I'm making my list to run by Suzanne, so I will.
But when you want a grant, for instance, one grant, another thing that I might add, it is amazing the number of grants that are targeted, like some were only for the Lebanon Valley or some were only for the North Country, and some of them are very specific. But if you want a grant, if we want to apply for a grant, you do it through their portal, and then they decide which of their many funds they will take it out of, and going along with what the grant, what the fund itself wants, but they say, well, we can do this out of this particular fund. And so it really behooves us, I think, to have a separate account with them, and they sent me the paperwork to make that possible, so that we don't have to necessarily go under the aegis of the city.
Right. So I'll put that on the list to check with Suzanne about the foundations, about the charitable foundation, about the places that we might be able to put the
Yeah.
card,
Yeah.
rack card.
Yeah, I mean, you go by the pocket parks and all these little places where people are, and I keep thinking, I wonder again, but I don't know what the city would allow us to do.
Can I say one? I'm pretty sure, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but all the little free libraries are on people's property.
They are on
So
people's
you
property.
might want to ask, you would be asking the person who that owns that.
I didn't mean to say that we should use them. I didn't mean to convey that. I'm sorry.
Okay.
It gave me a thought
Like
that.
similar things, I guess.
You know, is there city property or someplace where we could do it, or, you know, can you put something like it in the garages or at Prescott Park, or it may
Or
not
like
be
they
on
have
a
the-
stand, it may be some of those plastic things that you slide in, but,
Or like the, do we still have one in downtown? That free newspaper, like, you know, those, like the green.
yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I certainly do. I certainly
Those have
do.
been gone for quite a while, haven't they?
Yeah,
Say, I can't remember the last time I've seen one, but.
yeah.
Now, the New Hampshire Charitable Trust, what we do, are we within their parameters, or what they'll be able to fund?
Yes, yes, there are some suggestions that Sue gave me that are monitored and used by the New Hampshire Charitable Trust that we would fall under. I made a lot of calls, like one was to TD Banks Foundation, because I thought, this, you know, they're going to, because they're really big on community, but we just didn't qualify. But I think this is a good bet, because there's a lot. There's, you know, like 20 different funds that they manage in a way. So I think it's a good bet to at least have an account with them. And I would, once we do that, I would be happy to just make a test run through their portal to see how it works, so that we don't, you know, apply for a grant and then stumble because we don't know how to do it. And they were very nice. They said they would help run through anything. So that's what I learned.
Do we have to take a vote on that? I think it's just, again, just consensus, because we've been talking about fundraising and how do we get information, and we're just searching for information at this point. Does anybody have any objections to us, you know, checking with Suzanne and then having Eva go on and, you know, feel it out a little bit more and see exactly where we fall? Because we won't be, you know, putting in for money or anything like that. We're just trying to figure out how do we fit into this process going forward.
Right.
So-
That's it, is being part of the process, because obviously they have a great deal of resources at their disposal.
Right.
Yeah.
So does anybody have any objections to further? Okay.
Thanks for your hard work.
All right.
Oh, it was interesting.
She's our little. The other thing I just want to say about the African burial ground out here, the sign, I was told by Joanna Kelly, because I was talking to her about the Dinah Chase, many of those names shouldn't be up there because they never came through. So that's the other thing fundraising is up against. She didn't give me specific names, but, and I'm sure if Michael read it and a few others in here that are from Portsmouth, it's the who's who of everybody, but some of those who's never, you know, made a commitment and never came through with the funds. So just so you know, going forward, if we're trying to raise money and someone says, oh, we'll give you $5,000 and it never shows up, it's not us.
I just want to add, and I know we're pressed for time, so I'll make it quick. One of the things that Sue told me is that a lot of organizations around here are pressed for money.
Yes, I'm sure.
That there just isn't a lot floating around, and so that's why you can't leave any stone unturned.
I did, real quick, I tried to get in to see Mark McNabb. I haven't had any luck. I've tried to get in with Eli from State Street, because he has the big building going up there, the micro units, and I tried to get in touch with Little Breeze, and it's not easy. That's why you need someone that knows all these people, that doesn't go after them, but at least would head up and at least send an email and say, hey, I just spoke to the cemetery committee about preservation. If you have a minute, maybe you can too. Just need that nudge from somebody. So, and
Does the
if-
cemetery committee have its own bank account now?
No. No, I mean, we have a trust where the money goes, so, I mean, that's the only.
Well, that's what I meant. You know.
Yes, there's the cemetery trust fund, and it doesn't have that much money in it right now, so. It's not zero, but it's not that much either, so. And which also, I will send you a copy of this. I put this together, and if anybody wants a copy of it, or I'll send you a hard copy, an email copy. Oh, did she get? Oh, she get? Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Yes, I put this together about 4 months ago, and it took until last week before it went through all the channels and revisions from the city. And I need to run it by you because I did put on presented by Portsmouth Cemetery Committee. If people aren't comfortable with that, I can take that off, but that's why I asked her to print out a copy for everybody. And it's just a starting point. I even thought about mailing this to people, the list of builders that are right around North and Union Cemetery. At least it would get inside the building. I don't know how far it would get, but that's one way. And I've also thought of doing just a flash drive for everybody, you know, doing a presentation of just all the not horrendous, I'm sorry, being dramatic, all the not so good things about the cemeteries, you know, what's wrong, like on some of the tombs there, the faces are coming off, all the broken ones, the other things that are really, we found a couple of crushed headstones up there the other day, and they were small ones, and then pictures of the walls that needed to be, you know, like just, here it is, if you have 2 minutes or 5 minutes, can you look at these, and then if you want to help us, hit the QR code and go to it. I mean, I'm really trying to find different ways for us, because it's a lot of money. I had someone estimate it would be like between $50,000 and $70,000 per barrel tomb to fix the fronts, and some of the fronts are really sagging forward or things like that. So it's, you know, and I'm not asking any one company, oh, if you want to give us $100,000 to kick it off, that would be great. But if you give us 500 or 1,000 or whatever, that's great too. So,
We'll take it.
yeah, we'll take anything.
Now, when you list in the back, I was going to suggest Elizabeth Studley. I mean, you can leave it there, but her father was the one, James Studley, is the one that was part owner of Studley's Tavern. This is what a lot of this was organized. I don't mind you being in there, but it is he that did.
The reason I put her in there is I did some research on it. All these people, I did a brief research up at the Athenaeum. And for her, she was involved in a lot of things as far as at the tavern and continuing it on from what I read in the file.
Like I said, she probably should be there, but he was her dad that was, you know, more the organizer.
Yeah.
Lyman Spalding is the co-founder of Dartmouth Medical School. So,
Did not know that.
yeah.
And I just put this because I wanted to try to appeal to anyone's senses. If someone looks at it, they could care less about saving old headstones, but then they saw these people were buried there, it might. So I tried to just cover all the different things that might appeal to people to wanted
that's a good
donated.
presentation, though.
So, so this is the next step in trying to raise some money. I don't think, I don't keep it short, I think we've gone over most everything. People aren't into let's have a big gala type thing. Those days are gone. I mean, I'm sure some people still do them to raise big money. But again, I would need somebody, or not me, but we would need somebody that is willing to spearhead the fundraising so they could invite everybody and, give the little speech and say, hey, this is a worthwhile cause, get out your checkbooks, or here's the QR code, send it along. So it's not easy.
But I think we're doing a good job of getting the message out of what we're intending to do. And this could take time to get people more educated and
Right.
thoughtful and thankful.
Yeah. Oh, I agree.
I don't think we're there yet.
No, I agree. And another arm that may be coming forward is I met with the Historical Society, and they're planning to start some sort of cemetery tour. They don't know if it's going to include just North and Union or all 5 or what have you, but they're very excited, and I'm thinking, oh, it's not going to happen until next year, but that's just one more arm in our marketing tool that I will get out to the people. But I met with some of her staff that do those kinds of projects and put things together. So, and they're very excited, so I hope it pans out. All right, let me look over here real quick. So is everyone okay? Dee, I'm going to have you update on Dinah Chase Whipple real quick. There isn't that much, but.
Okay, yeah, so after our last meeting in March, we got together on a teleconference with Laurel Yancey, who is one of the family members of Dinah Chase Whipple. And we also looped in Lisa from Seacoast Memorials so that the family can start working directly with her on what they want the stone to look like. Because, we put up just a
Suggestion.
just a starting point with an inscription and that sort of thing, and ran it by the family, and they just wanted a few little changes. So that's happening. And then we just found out last week, great news, that that the Colonial Dames, something, I forget
I don't know what the
whole
chapter
name.
name is. Yeah.
It's a organization that Paige Trace, I think, is the president of. They've committed to pay for the whole stone. So
Wow.
we're good on fundraising, which is good, so we can really get things started. And that donation has to be approved by the city council, and it's on the agenda for Monday to be approved. So
Would it be ready for that?
No.
it's not going to be ready for May 18th.
Yeah.
They're going to have a ceremony May 18th, but at least they'll have a proof to be able to share with people, on what the stone will look like.
And we had even emailed about putting one of those markers,
I think that's a great idea.
like we did for the reinterment, just have a marker there with her information.
Yeah.
And then whenever the headstone comes in, they can, if they want to do something else, that's fine. But,
Yeah, exactly.
and I'm part of the email, but I'm not talking to them. You haven't heard anything back. I haven't seen from the family.
No, we heard from them last week. I don't know if you were on that email chain. They were ready to set up a GoFundMe.
Oh,
And,
right, yeah.
And Suzanne called them off and said, nope, we've got the funding. And so I think we'll be in touch with the family after the city council meeting on Monday, so.
Yeah, because they wanted to, one of the family members emailed and wanted to look at their own headstones. So
Yeah.
that's more of the, it's not a holdup. I mean, this isn't our project, but that's a big part of why nothing's happening permanently in May, because I think different family members have different ideas of what.
Yeah, Seacoast Memorial, said that they're not going to do anything until they get the funding,
Yeah.
for it. So,
Exactly.
so I think things will start moving quicker
Exactly.
after the council meeting.
And the one last thing, the stone for the reinterment.
Picking it up tomorrow morning.
Oh, wow.
Yep, it's all ready, and I'll get it back, and we'll get the plaque mounted onto it. Hopefully have it put out in the next few weeks.
Great.
Nice.
Yep.
And also, Corin's going to put, we'll remove the placeholders. We'll tell them what you're going to do with the metal.
Oh, yeah, for where each tube is located, I'll put a small piece of iron over the top of the tube, so that in the future, you can use a metal detector or whatever to find each tube. So I'll just take a small square of steel or just iron, and we'll put something there so that 20 years from now, we know it's in this area. You can at least get some clue that it's there.
How much dirt will cover that plate?
3 inches. We'll reloam that whole area.
Okay.
So they're just under, but if you don't know where they are, we had to do quite a bit of digging just to find them, and we tore the place up. So we'll get that all repaired. Put a little piece of iron over each tube. That way they can be found in the future a little bit easier.
And if you're looking this way towards the wall, when we were doing the dig, Corin came over, that big tree that sits right by where the 3 placeholders are, there's plenty of room on the left-hand side for the nice headstone with the plaque on it to sit right there. And that will be right next to where they are, so. So that's it. Does anybody have
Look forward to that. That's good.
Anybody have anything else they would like to? Oh, database. Still have 2 minutes. You're not going to believe this, but it is totally ready. What we can't do is upload it because the IT guys have asked that all the information be pre-done, meaning proprietors, Harmony Grove, and Sagamore be already on the database to upload. They don't want to keep going in and trying to re-upload every time they finish a cemetery. So hopefully Katie and I are thinking by the end of the summer, they're going to try to find a couple more volunteers, and we do have some money to pay somebody now that we know it's a done deal, because we weren't ever at the point that it could be used, and now it's officially usable. So to try to get somebody, we have like 40,000 names already.
Oh, my God.
And yeah, I mean, I don't know where our cutoff is for the 6 cemeteries, but they've started working on proprietors in Sagamore and Harmony. Different people wanted to do different volunteer, and the lines are up to 40,000 now.
Wow.
So,
That's fabulous.
yeah. And maybe we'll get an award for it or something we'll submit it and,
Send cash.
yeah. Isn't that true?
The plaque, just send the cash.
Yeah, exactly. Can I get a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So move.
I'll second.
We're done. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.